Welcome back everyone to another video. So as you can see from those first clips, I have started to adjust my suspension on this car. The back end was just sitting a little higher than the front, kind of looked like an old school hot rod. It's pretty funny looking actually. Lowered the back, also had to raise up the front a little bit because I was getting some rubbing. Just brought it up maybe like a ½ inch at most. Can't really tell the difference too much visually. But in addition to that, the engine is back in, the car is running. It sounds pretty healthy. I have driven it around, the alignment's really bad, so we're also working on that today, and that is what I'm going to tackle next. I think I like the ride height where it's at right now, so I kind of want to just get the toe dialed in so that my steering wheel isn't completely just sideways while I'm going straight down the road. And just drive around on it for a little bit, get these coilovers to settle a little bit more. They haven't really been driven on that much yet. So we'll start with this and see how it goes. This is where the back is kind of sitting now. If I take my fingers here, I just have barely enough room to slide 2-finger width up in here, and it's like that on the other side as well. Obviously, compared to the front, it's much more level. Like the whole car isn't like that. It's now like a lot more level, so looks a lot nicer, a lot cleaner. It's definitely a little lower than the stock ride height, of course, because these come stock looking like monster trucks. So yeah, I think it looks a lot better. We're gonna roll with this for a little bit and see. Before I take it out and drive it around and test it out, I need to adjust the toe in the front because I think we have too much toe out on this side and too much toe in on this side. And so that's why I'm having to keep the wheel turned pretty far to the left in order to keep it straight on the road. So I'm gonna get down under there real quick. We're gonna crack that outer tie rod nut loose, and then we'll do some adjustments to try to get the toe correct. And then after I get that dialed in to where I want it, this box just showed up today, and I am happy to say that I have some brand new OEM fender liners. As you can see down there, these are genuine Subaru fender liners, so we'll be throwing those on. I used some cheap, just eBay ones in the past, and they do the job, but they do not fit nearly as well as these. So once we get everything dialed in with the alignment, I'll be throwing those on, and that way we don't keep throwing so much road debris up inside the fender wells, especially now that the weather here in the Northeast is starting to show signs of the impending winter coming here soon. All right, so in order to adjust the toe on these cars, guys, this is your outer tie rod right here. So you want to unscrew the locking nut here, and then basically by moving this, you can spin this either in by turning it clockwise or out by turning it counterclockwise. Turning it out will push the rod this way, towing it out. Turning it in will pull the rod in this way, towing it back in. The rears are a little different, and you basically use this cam bolt right here, so you loosen the locking nut on the other side. Where the lobe is right now, it should be effectively pulling this lateral arm in as much as possible. Having this hole facing straight sideways should zero out your toe in the rear. But you could imagine as you turn this and the lobe has less pressure on this outside of the fitting right here, it'll actually allow the arm to come out more, which will then move the back of the wheel out, towing it in. So yeah, basically you can only adjust your toe in the rear by using the cam bolt for this lateral arm, or either pushes the lateral arm out or pulls it in. So I'm gonna set it back on the ground right now. I just wanted to show you guys real quick because I can't really film when it's on the ground while I'm adjusting these because it's so low and there's not enough space for the camera. But yeah, let me set it down and I will show you what I've done with the string alignment. All right guys, so with the steering wheel straight in the car, and what I normally do is just put a thing of duct tape on the dash, wrap it around the steering wheel with it in its like straight position, stick the tape to itself, and then the steering wheel can't move. And what we have here is our jack stand set up with some string going all the way around the car like a box. So as you guys can see, the string is barely touching. Like if I let go, it just barely goes in and touches the tire right there. And then same in the rear there. So effectively the toe is zeroed out on this side. Same with this side here. Barely touching and barely touching. You can kind of see it swinging back and forth and just hitting the rubber. In the rear, same thing. Good there. Good there. And then this one is a little funny. I'm not really sure why, but just barely touching back here and then like off by like a 1/16 of an inch. It's probably gonna be really hard to see it. Yeah, in the front there. So like slight bit of toe in. For some reason, even when I maxed that cam bolt out to where it should be zeroed, it's just not pushing the toe out to be completely zeroed. But I feel like that shouldn't really make much of a difference. It's such a tiny amount, like literally I'm talking like a 1/16 of an inch. So I'm gonna leave it. Let's go drive it. Let's hope that the wheel is straight and that it tracks well. All right. See how good our alignment skills are. Ready?
Ready.
I can already feel it's better. Oh yeah. The wheel is straight. Oh yeah. Look at this. And we're just going straight. Maybe not like perfect, but it's pretty damn perfect. Maybe not perfect, but pretty damn perfect. Pretty damn close, I mean. Sorry, just gotta check, you know? Wow, it feels good. It feels really tight. So good to drive this car. Still have a lot of things to figure out on it, but and get dialed, but this is quite rewarding, I must say. I can't rip on it yet because it's not broken in at all. The engine maybe has like 50 miles on it. recommend. What do you think, hon?
It's pretty cool.
It's come a long way, huh?
It sure
String alignment for the win. Good morning, everyone. It is the next morning, and I gotta say, I'm very happy with how this car felt driving yesterday. One unfortunate thing that I have to deal with is that the DCCD is not working. The controller works, just the center diff is binding up, and when I try to actually adjust the wheel on the DCCD controller, yeah, it doesn't work. It gets all bound up, it gets stuck. I can feel it kind of clunking around in there, and I can only drive it in the open position, which is fine. We can get the car tuned still. We can actually get it up and ripping. It drives just fine with it open. But I think those clutch packs are getting stuck and bound up, and I think that the diff needs a rebuild. Now I am kind of kicking myself for not doing that when I rebuilt the transmission, but I just didn't really know to go through it like that. It had pretty low mileage on it, or at least that's what I was told, around 60,000 miles on that gearbox, because it is a JDM gearbox that came off of a Japanese car. And as most of you know, those cars get retired really early on over there. So it does have low mileage, but apparently the last person that drove on it hard. So it does need to be rebuilt. There is a way that you can do it with the transmission still in the car. And so after we get the car way more dialed, probably even after I even paint it, I'm not gonna worry about the diff for a while. I will come back to it later on and we'll pull it out and rebuild it then. And that way I can show you guys exactly how to do one of those. They're actually not too bad. I've looked up a couple other videos and did some reading on it, and not as intimidating as I thought it would be. So we'll get that fixed. For the time being, we just have an open diff. No big deal though. It still functions just fine and the car feels great. And for now, I'm just going to get the car up in the air. I want to check it, make sure there's no leaks still. I've been checking it every day, just to make sure nothing pops up that I need to address, because I do not like oil leaks. Pretty good. Let me show you guys something real quick. So if you look right there on the corner of the valve cover, you can see the tiniest little oil dripping. Now, that is where it was leaking from. I don't think it's still leaking from that part of the gasket or cover, because it's sealed in there with 3-bond now. If you look at this bolt right here though, it's wet. And I think I still have a slight drip coming out from this little grommet. So it did not replace the grommet. And I think it's just kind of moving down the valve cover and settling right there at the corner, and then dripping onto the subframe, because it's a little bit wet on the subframe as well right here. It's not a lot, it's just a tiny, tiny bit. But I think I may try to get a new, whatever you call that, it's like a gasket washer for that bolt, and replace that, see if that drip goes away. I really don't want any leaks, and that's really tiny. It's not that big of a deal, but even still, I'd rather deal with it. And the reason I also think it's coming from there is because if you look at these other ones, they're completely bone dry. Just that one is a little bit wet underneath, so, and it looks like it just comes out, seeps, and then moves down that way and settles at the corner. So, and then this cover over here seems to be completely fine. Nothing leaking out of there. Subframe's completely dry, just a little dirty. Yeah. Check it from this angle too. Yeah, this one looks good. I was worried about this cable from the oil temp sensor getting burnt, but I have it all zip tied up here. Seems to be holding up just fine. No leaking around our oil pan, which is great. So that nice rubber seal in there after the IAG oil pans seems to work real well. And I'm happy to say that the leak that was over here on the transmission where I replaced that axle seal is completely remedied. No seepage there or anywhere else on the gearbox. Steering rack, however, does seem to be seeping like the tiniest bit, which I gotta say, I'm really not surprised. It's a used rack, and even though I went through it and like re-tightened everything down and even like sealed some of the fittings up better, these racks, man, they're just notorious. I don't know. But it's such a small amount, I'm just gonna run it for now. We'll leave it. If it starts getting worse, I'll pull it, try to fix it better, see if it works. Or I may just, I don't know, replace it possibly. But everything looks pretty good under here. It's definitely funny how quickly cars get dirty just from driving them on the road a couple times. This thing was pristine before, so. But I'm building it to drive it, not for it to just sit, so it's gonna get dirty. Anywho, let's go ahead and get the fender liners thrown in. Actually, before I do the fender liners, I want to get this heat shield all cleaned up first. Let's get this modified. And what I'm going to do to it is, I'm just going to cut a slot right here so that we don't have to take the O2 sensor out. And that way I can just slide it up in there. All right, so using some simple green here, guys. A little mark here. We're gonna use this angle grinder. Get this thing cut nice. Beautiful. Now that the heat shield is taken care of, let's get these thrown in the wheel well. All right, so I just need to pull the front wheels off first before we can get these fender liners installed. Quick test fit here. So it came with these new like plastic clips right here. Fit on these little tabs. Makes it fit up in here really nice. Got one clip in over here. I'm gonna get one down here on the bottom. OE is definitely the way to go with these guys. Feels nice and secure. There we go. That's it. Now, I must say, that looks so much better. Holy crap. It's weird what a fender liner will do. Just kind of ties everything together under here and makes it look that much more finished. Super happy to have some OE fenders back in. Hell yeah. Let's get the other side done. All right, second liner is in. Looking so nice. Let me get these wheels thrown back on, lower the car down, and move on to the next ticket item. Right, so the next thing that needs to happen is I still have that airbag light on. Putting that resistor in the airbag switch for the steering wheel did not work. And I think it's because the airbag clips are unplugged underneath these seats, because these, for some reason, they were ripped out of, so there is no clips attached to these seats. So we're gonna try it in here. I'll show you how to do that. So to pull the seats out of one of these Subarus, guys, you have two 14mm bolts here and here in the front that attach the seat rail to the chassis. And then behind the seat, the back of the seat rail, underneath your plastic trim pieces, you have two more 14mm bolts. Zip both of those off, and then you should be able to pull the seat right out. To make my life easier, I like to push the seat all the way back, zip the front out, pull it all the way forward, zip the back two out, so you have plenty of space to remove those bolts. And she's out. All right, guys, so under the driver's seat, you have these two plugs here, and this yellow one is the airbag clip. So let me show you the resistor that I'm using. We're gonna shove one in there, we'll move to that side, we'll pull that seat out, we'll do the same thing. So these are the resistors that I have. I just got them off of Amazon, super cheap. I guess you want the 3.3 ohm resistor to do this job. I don't know if this works. I've never verified it myself, but everything I read says that it is supposed to work. So let's get one of these out. Let's toss it. This is what they look like. I guess you can trim the little wire ends to shorten them if they're a little long for your clip. So I might just fold them and shove them in there, and then I'll put some electrical tape around it. All right, so I just actually folded the ends in. It still seems to fit just fine. So there's a little close-up action of it. Just kind of folded it, the wings down, shoved it in each slot, and then I'll wrap some tape around it so it can't fall out. All right, guys, so we got the second one all done on this side as well. As you can see, got it all taped up. And also, as you can see, you don't have to take your seats out to do this. These plugs can be a little bit tricky to get unplugged if you still have them plugged in to anything underneath. But I would imagine if you're doing this to fix your airbag light, that they're probably not plugged into anything. So yeah, you can just scoot the seat forward all the way, and then you have access to that wire and plug. I just wanted to remove the seat so I could show you what I was doing with a little bit more clarity. So, but yeah, you don't have to take them out if you don't want. I imagine some people will be taking their seats out if they're doing that because they're doing like a seat swap, and that's why they need to get the airbag light turn off. But as I stated before, I don't even know if this is gonna work because I've never actually done this myself. So let's grab the keys and let's turn it let's turn the car on. I do have to start up the engine, I believe, in order to really check to see if the airbag light is gonna turn off. When it's just in the on position, I think it just stays on. So let's check it out. All right, so key in the ignition. And unfortunately, it's still on. Damn. Huh. Well, I guess the next option is just pulling that LED out so it doesn't glow. And then that way I can go and get my damn safety inspection completed. Well, that was a bit anticlimactic and a bit of a letdown, if I'm being honest. I was really hoping that that would work. Yeah, if anyone has any ideas as to why that wouldn't be kind of completing that airbag circuit and turning the light off, let me know in the comments. So I did the one under the dash that hooks into the steering wheel, and then under each front seat. And I don't think there are any other ones that are unplugged in this car. The one on the passenger side dash is plugged in, so that shouldn't be triggering the light. But yeah, let me know in the comments if any of you have tried this before and have had any success. That'd be really nice to figure out. But I think what I'm gonna do though is, like I said, I'm just gonna pull that cluster back out. At the very least, I can just like put some black electrical tape over that light to where you can't see it glowing, or if I can pop the little LED out of the back, I'll do that and remove the bulb. That's all I got on this video, guys. I really appreciate you watching. Please hit that like button and think about subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, because there's lots more coming on this build. And I know I've been working on this build for a long time, but guys, if you're looking for a channel where like people are just gonna crank out builds as fast as possible, this is not it. I like taking my time, and I like doing it right, and I like getting it done in a way that I know I'm gonna be really satisfied with for a long time. And it just takes time, guys. There isn't any fast way to do builds. And you know, YouTubers that are able to do that, they either have a team or they have a lot more resources than I do to get that kind of stuff done. And I'm just one person working on this by myself and having to save up money in between videos over time in order to afford more modifications and cool JDM parts. And so, yeah, it just takes time. And yeah, I'm just gonna keep moving forward, and eventually we'll have another project car that we'll also start working on as this one gets closer and closer to being complete. But that remains to be seen what that's gonna be. I'm not really sure. I've thought about trying to find like a GC coupe and doing like a full STI swap into one of those and fully restoring a GC. I think that would be really fun. But I'm also not really sure. I also am a big fan of the GR chassis as well. So yeah, we'll just see what happens. But for now, we still have a long way to go with this car. In the next video, I'm gonna share some really cool JDM bits that I got for it, and just some cool additions to make the car a little more comfortable and look a little bit nicer. So I'm stoked to share all of that stuff with you guys. But before I go, let's just admire the OEM Plus look to this engine bay. It really did come out the way that I really wanted it to. There's still a few little things that I want to change in here, but for the most part, man, it's looking real nice. It's looking exactly how I had envisioned it. Once again, guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate you as always, and until next time, peace out, everyone.